Last year, Brooks came out with the Glycerin Max, an ultra plush max stack shoe that was surprisingly decent and held its own in a very fiercely competitive section of the market. I enjoyed running in it, and it was a really solid option for those long runs, those easy runs, and a good safe bet for heavier runners out there too. Now Brooks are back with this version 2 of the Glycerin Max, and they've tweaked quite a few things with it. So will it be the upgrade that we were hoping for, or are we going to be better off trying to snap up version 1 on discount? Or are the likes of Nike, Asics and Puma going to be offering some better options out there? As always, I bought this shoe 100% with my own money. Sarah actually went out to Run and Become here in the centre of London and snapped this shoe up on the day it launched, and it set us back £180. So quite a lot of money for this one. Thank you to everybody that supports us here on the channel by checking out my website, benparks.com, where you can find the best training plans, running gear, amazing long sleeve t-shirts, perfect for getting your runs done at this time of year. Feel free to use code YouTube10 for 10% off your order. Thanks so much for everyone that does that. It allows us to keep bringing you these unsponsored, ungifted, everything reviews. Right, let's get started by chatting about the differences between this and the outgoing Glycerin Max version 1. The first big difference here is, unfortunately, this one is 15 grams heavier for me in my UK size 12, which doesn't sound like a lot, but version 1 was already on the heavier side of things. Version 1 was 375 grams for me, and this one is a quite whopping 390 grams, and you can unfortunately really tell this is a very heavy shoe to be running around in. It has a slightly wider base on the bottom of the shoe just to add a little bit of extra stability to it. We've got exactly the same foam in this one as version 1. We've got Brooks's DNA tuned midsole, slightly different shape to the midsole in this one, and they've also tweaked the upper of the shoe. There's slightly less padding around the back of the shoe, around the heel and the ankle, and a slightly different style of mesh up at the front. Slightly different outsole pattern here as well on the bottom of the shoe, but it's exactly the same compound of pretty sticky rubber, pretty good for running at this time of year. And everything else stays pretty much the same. So the price is the same, the stack is the same, and the drop is exactly the same as well. Right, let's move on to have a chat all about the facts and figures. So the purpose of the Glycerin Max 2, this is Brooks's most plush shoe in the range, aiming to provide maximum amount of comfort over traditionally quite long distances. So it's a long run mileage monster, ideal for those longer slow runs or any easy pace runs. Price wise, as I said at the start of the video, this shoe set me back £180. Stack height at the back of the shoe 45mm with a 6mm drop overall. Weight wise, yeah, unfortunately it's a big heavy shoe, 390 grams for me in my UK size 12. We've got a triple jacquard mesh upper. It's a little less bulky than version 1. Midsole wise, we've got Brooks's nitrogen infused DNA tuned foam. It's a slightly different density at the front of the shoe versus the density at the back of the shoe. It's a little bit softer at the back of the shoe, and there's no plate in this shoe. Outsole wise, we've got a very grippy rubber outsole here. It's going to work particularly well in the winter, and obviously some of the exposed foam here as well. There's no different widths available, unfortunately, but it's pretty good. Very wide shoe, probably a little bit too wide for me. My feet are slightly on the narrow side, so I was getting a little bit of bunching there. Unless you've got severely wide feet, you're going to be all good here. And sizing wise, it was all good and true to size for me. Right, let's move on to have a chat all about the likes. My first like with this shoe is just the comfort. The comfort is so good with this one. A big padded heel, extremely padded tongue, just sits on the top of your feet really quite nicely. A good fit in this shoe, a shoe that you could just put on and wear for a very long amount of time, whether you're walking around, running around. It could be a particularly good option for a road ultra or anyone going out for a particularly long run where you just want to prioritize comfort over anything else. Second like with this shoe, it's just very stable. There's slightly wider base here, just adding to that surface area on the bottom. So you can feel very confident if you've got some sudden changes of direction to do, which is just really good in these sort of max stack shoes, where some shoes can be very unstable. You've really got to watch where you're placing your feet. You don't have to do that in this shoe. The foot sits into the foam a little bit, just helping with that stability. It's good when you're particularly running tired at the back end of a long run. Your form is not going to be so great. It's just getting a little bit sloppy. This shoe and the stability stability and the comfort is just going to look after you all the way. Third like with this one is the grip. The outsole is just very, very strong. Very good amount of grip. The darker launch colours as well, I think are going to be particularly good for anyone getting their runs done at this time of year. Well, if you are out there in the Northern Hemisphere anyway. Fourth like with the shoe, just really good, solid build quality, which we've always come to expect from Brooks. You pay a slightly premium price there, but you're getting a very well-made shoe. It just feels like a really good quality product in the hand and on your feet, and it's going to last a good amount of time as well. And then my fifth and final like is still a good option for those heavier runners out there. Lots of foam to absorb that impact, and it's not so mushy that you're going to have to worry about the foam bottoming out. Right, as we always say on the channel here, it's not all about the likes. Let's move on to have a chat about the dislikes. The first one being, unfortunately, it's just very much on the heavier side. For me, coming in at just under 400 grams. I know a lot of people say to me, does that really matter for this type of shoe? But it just feels so much heavier than version 1. It does start to feel a tad brick-like. It was just a bit of a disappointment. I'd love to have seen this have a little bit of a weight decrease. And then my second dislike here, or it might be a like depending on what sort of feel you like, but it's definitely on the firmer side. We don't have much poppiness here. It's really not that responsive. There's no reaction off the pavement with each strike. It's fine for cruising along at sort of your easy run paces, maybe up to marathon paces. It just feels a little bit lethargic, unfortunately, when you do try and pick up the pace. Third dislike here, unfortunately, without a doubt, it's definitely on the expensive side, especially when you compare it to the competitors out there. But for £180, it's quite a niche shoe as well. It's quite hard to recommend this shoe at that price point. Fourth dislike, I don't know, it's just a bit of a weird observation. The laces are incredibly long for some reason. I don't know why that is. They're very soft, they're very plush, they feel very nice, but they're just very, very long. It doesn't really matter, just an observation. And then my fifth dislike here, personally, I just preferred the looks of the version 1. I just don't think this is a very nice looking shoe. The first one I thought was quite a cool shoe. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit like, oh, what's this person wearing? It just looked quite nice. Maybe it's just these launch colorways. They're just not that exciting. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Right, let's just compare the Glycerin Max 2 with some other popular options out on the market. The first one being the Puma MagMax, which is so much lighter. It's much more responsive as well. It's just got a good engaging and fun ride. Still definitely on the firm side, very similar to the Glycerin Max here, but it's also £10 cheaper as well. Or at the moment you can find some colorways for some really good bargain prices around about £120. The second shoe here is the Asics Megablast, a little bit more expensive, but it's way, way lighter, significantly lighter. You're really going to notice that difference, and it's so much more fun to run in. It's definitely a little bit more stripped back than the Glycerin Max. It's not geared completely towards that sort of max soft comfort all the way through the upper. It's still a very comfortable shoe though, but it just has way more paces on offer. You can really rip out some fast reps in that shoe. You can have a fun, engaging race in that shoe as well, but unfortunately it is £30 more. And then finally, the Nike Vomero Plus, again, much lighter. Pretty much every shoe is going to be much lighter than this one. It's got a way better energy return, much more responsive as well, £25 cheaper, but a little less stable without a doubt. A little less stable in the corners. You really got to have your wits about you where you're placing your foot with that one. Make sure it's somewhere nice and flat. You're just getting a much better turn of speed in that shoe as well, because it's lighter and it's just so much sort of faster, more responsive, and more of an engaging, fun ride than something like the Glycerin Max. Right, let's move on to my conclusions and final thoughts. If you liked version 1, I'd really recommend going out and stocking up on version 1. I really don't recommend upgrading to version 2 at this time. Version 2, it just feels a little bit heavier because it is heavier, a little bit less responsive and firmer as well. You can still cover the ground quite nicely. It's still got that lovely rocker technology at the front of the shoe, so you can sort of get going okay, as I say, up to around marathon pace. Any more than that, it's just going to be very, very lethargic. It just leaves me quite confused with this offering, with who would want this upgrade. I was really hoping with version 2 they'd just take some of the weight out of version 1 and maybe just update the foam to something a little bit more responsive, a little more poppy, a little bit more exciting, but they've just gone the other way round. And in 2025, this shoe is just now starting to feel a little bit old-fashioned with some of the amazing foams out there. We only have to look at what Asics are doing with the Megablast, and unfortunately comparing it to the Glycerin Max, it just feels unfortunately now very out of date. But looking at the positives here, the shoe is offering a great amount of comfort and it's going to look after your feet on the long run. You've got that really good Brooks build quality here as well. It's a nice option for those heavier runners out there looking for a very comfortable shoe to get their miles on, and it will be very dependable. But in all honesty, it's going to be very hard for me to recommend the shoe, and the competition are just offering some much more engaging, exciting product out there. I'm just really not sure who this shoe is going to appeal to. But if you want to stick in the Brooks lineup, then this is offering the most cushion ride, and it is going to be a very stable offering as well. That's it, guys. Let me know your thoughts on the Glycerin Max. Are you going to be getting this? What did you think of version 1? We've got a really big roundup of the best Max Stack shoes of the year coming, so make sure you get subscribed for that. But here is a couple of videos that YouTube thinks you're going to like next. Keep on working hard. Keep on working done. I'll see you very soon in the next one.